So, dear friends, welcome to this edition of the Sajoga Outreach team. Today, we will show you how to send HTML newsletters for mass emailing to a group of friends or seekers, and we'll do that in three processes or three steps. So, the first step is to gather a list of all the email addresses into a text file or an Excel spreadsheet. And the second step is how to create the HTML newsletters or just the graphical part of it. And the third step is how to do the mass emailing or the email blasting to all the people on your email list. And you can do it in two different ways. We'll talk about those two ways in a little bit. Now, the softwares used for this tutorial are Google Docs, which is basically how it stores all the email addresses. And you don't have to use Google Docs. You can use a simple text file, or you can use an Excel spreadsheet, which is essentially what Google Docs does. It creates a form for you for people to fill out, and then it stores everything that's filled through that form on the website into an Excel spreadsheet. Um, so you can bypass that and you can just have a text file to store all the email addresses and the names. And then we use Google Blogger to store images for embedding, and this is important. Uh, you don't have to use Google Blogger. You can use a Dropbox service or your own web server, or even images that are hosted online, which are searched by Google. But you should know their URL addresses. So that's what Google Blogger does. It helps you store images for embedding into the HTML. And the third software we used is Mozilla Thunderbird, and this is for creating HTML newsletters. The reason we use Thunderbird is because it allows you to use pre-existing templates, and it allows you to create new templates, and it allows you to also copy the HTML portion of that. And we'll talk about that in a little bit. We'll show you in the demonstration. And the last and the most important is the software called MaxBulk Mailer for sending out mass emails. Again, this is all these four softwares are how we have been using this. You are not restricted to use these softwares, but feel free to replace any of these with your own version, and that should work as well. So the way the Max bulk mailer works is it has a list of, we pour, we give it an input of all these email addresses and the HTML content that we create through the Thunderbird, and this funnel is what's represented by the Max bulk mailer. So both the emails and the HTML content is passed through the Max bulk mail software, which in turn does all the mass mailing to the recipients. Now we'll go one by one. So let's look at the address book options. So the address book options, we have a couple, and we'll show you. This is where we start the hands-on demonstrations. So Google Docs is what we have been using, and I have something here for you. So this is a form that's been created um, using Google Docs, and it's really simple. You can create a form like this in about 10 minutes, and it's just a list of inputs for the user: name, last name, email address, date of birth, attended the program, and blah blah blah. And when they submit, this form goes and gets stored. All the data gets stored into an Excel spreadsheet, which we can access later. So this is essentially how to store all the email addresses, and basically all we are interested is in the first name, email address, and maybe the last name if you need to. So there are other ways, like we talked about. You don't have to use Google Docs. You can use a simple text file. For example, something like this. We have an example text file that can be used, and all it is just a list of names, email addresses, second name, another email address, third name, another email address, and it's separated by a comma. So that'll work too. And if you're not having any of these, but you want to export them from your Gmail, Yahoo, Hotmail account, you can do that as well. And all these free email providers that let you output or export CSV format, text format address book. So that'll work as well. So once you have that, we have to go and see how to use Thunderbird. This is the interesting part, how to use Thunderbird um, using the templates that are there, or how to add new templates. So that said, I want to emphasize that um, for this tutorial we use Thunderbird version 14. The current version is something like 30 something, and some of the features are disabled in the newer versions, so you might want to stick with this Thunderbird 14. And if you just Google around, there's a way to download the older version of Thunderbird, and I've shown this link here, FTP Mozilla link, and it leads to 14.0. So you can just download the DMG, which is for Mac, and if you're using Windows, you can use Win here instead of Mac, and you can just Google it to get the Thunderbird 14 for Windows. So that said, once you have Thunderbird installed and running, Thunderbird version 14, so this is what you do. You download these two add-ons, the Thunderbird add-on for stationery and the Thunderbird add-on for HTML source button. And that's pretty much to it. And once you start the Thunderbird, you should be able to see this write button, and as you can see, when I click on write, it shows me all these templates which I have already installed these templates, and I'll show you how to install a new template or use an existing one. So for our tutorial, we'll use this template called Feb 11, and when I click on Feb 11, so this is a template that's already loaded in, and this is a newsletter template that comes up. So you see how beautiful this is. It gives you like two columns. On the left you have a column for quick links, and on the right you have a bigger, wider column for putting all the text and the body and small images. And again, you don't have to stick with it. You can modify this. And for example, the other day I was on this website called beautifulemails.com, and you can download more templates from there. I just downloaded one and I'll show you how to install it. So all you have to do is go back to your Thunderbird, where at the beginning when you see that screen, and you say write, and you choose other stationery. And so the template which I downloaded the other day, and it's in my downloads, is called beautiful templates, beautiful template number 2. So you can click on that HTML template and say open, and this is what it starts with. And everything here is configurable. You basically can resize images, you can download or drag and drop your own images, and I'll show you how to do that. So you don't have to stay with just one template, and on the internet you can find tons and tons of free templates, but for this tutorial we'll just work with this one template. And I've also made this template available for you on this website. It's anupam.easyrun.ca/up/feb11html.zip. And when you download that, you can start a new message, and you can start it with that same template that when you say write and other stationery, and there you can give the Feb 11, and it should show up just like this. So once you have this template up, all you have to do is to change, modify your text, and everything is very easily. It's like a text editor basically. So all you do is, um, let's say you want to delete this part, so you just hit the delete button and it goes away. And let's say you want to replace this image by something that you have, um, something maybe simple like this. All you have to do is drag and drop. Oh, not drag and drop just yet. What you can do is you can say image, you can click on the image and say insert image, and as you can see here, it's image location thing is there. So that's what we have to do. We have to basically click on this image, get the location of that image where it is posted, and say copy image address. That's one way to do it, or the other way is just drag and drop this image straight into that image location, and that should work as well. And as you can see, the address shows up here now when you drag and drop. So once you've done that, sometimes you will notice that the OK button is disabled, and just to enable that button you have to change the extension from JPG to JPEG, and that's it. And then you can start seeing the image over here and just click OK, and you can see voila, that the image gets replaced by what you want it to be. And it's very important that the images are embedded. This is called embedding images and not attaching them. So it's very important that the images are embedded and not attached, because the reason, if you embed them, you can send 1,000 emails with embedded image with very small data size, like maybe 2 MB, and it's the deliveries are really fast. Maybe in like 10 minutes or 5 minutes you can send about 1,000 emails. But if you choose to attach them, then not only are you increasing the size of the each email, but the data amount you're going to use is a lot, and then people, when they open it, it'll take them longer to download all that. So it's not recommended to attach images at all when you're doing HTML newsletter, and that's really important. And it's been emphasized that use image links to embed the embed in HTML and not attach the images. So that said, now we know how to work with HTML, how to change the content. Things that we don't want, we can just remove. Things that we want, we can add. You can play with images, you can play with the text here. And once you have everything the way you like it, oh, one more thing before we do that is, for example, you want to make a image that's a clickable image that takes you to a URL. So what you have to do is double click on that image, and it shows you the image location that you're gonna use it from, and then it also shows you the link. So if you like it to take you somewhere, you just type the URL address where you would like it to go, and then click OK. So next time that when a user or a recipient, when they receive this email and they click on this, they will be taken to that URL location that you just want them to go. Okay, so it's that simple. And now that you have the HTML all nicely the way you want it, the next important step is to click on this button here which says source HTML. And once we click on it, this is what we see. It's all HTML. You don't have to understand what it does, how it goes, but just know that you need this HTML in the next step. So the next step is now we finished the Thunderbird part. Remember, there were 3 steps. The first step was the address book, which we did with Google Docs. The second step, which we finished, was with the HTML newsletters with Thunderbird. And the third step is the mass emailing, which will be done using MaxBulk Mailer. So we're going to go to the third step for the bulk mailing, and let's open the MaxBulk Mailer. So the way it looks like is this one. This little icon here is MaxBulk Mailer. So we're going to open it, and it shows up like this over here. So it has plenty of it has a few options here: message, recipients, settings, preview, and delivery. So what we're going to work with is the message option, and make sure that you have format as HTML only checked here. So uh, once you have that, what we are going to do is go to source HTML in Thunderbird and copy, do a control A, or if you're a Mac then command A to highlight everything, and then command C or just say copy, and then go to MaxBulk Mailer, and under the message you hit paste. So the entire HTML gets pasted here, and you can see it goes all the way to /body/HTML, and that's the tags that it starts with HTML and head. So this is what we want, and we can call this as a tutorial HTML newsletter. Okay, and then we go to preview to see if we get what the user is or the recipient is going to see. So this is what the recipient sees. If everything looks good, we are ready to go. And remember the link that we have changed here. So this is the link. So it says go to file. At the bottom of the screen you can see go to file, and it shows that link. So that's what we want. And now all we have to do is select our recipients. So here is a test list of recipients I've created, and it's very easy to get the recipients in here. Once you have a CSV from Google, Hotmail, Yahoo, or a text file, or you can actually type them in, but it's not recommended. But I'll show you how to just copy and paste from an Excel spreadsheet or a text file. So remember the text file that we had created in the beginning, this one, which is like a test file, text file. So we have all these email addresses. We are going to just copy them, and here we're going to go back to our recipients and say import from clipboard, from plain text. You can say anything and it will bring them here. And these duplicate ones which were already there, it did not import, so it does on the fly unification of all the email addresses that are there in the database plus the ones you're going to import. So you can't go wrong with this. It's a really nice tool, a neat nice feature this tool has. So you notice that these two that we just imported, it didn't put the names in, and you can avoid that when you use the import from plain text, or sorry, import from file text file feature, and then you can give it the text file name and it'll do the same thing for you. And also when you import from clipboard using an Excel spreadsheet, you basically select those three columns in the first name, last name, and the email address, and it will import all those three columns here like previously we have done. So now that we have these email addresses, you can click here which ones you want to be delivered, which ones you don't want to be delivered. So I'm going to check off Shiva, Purnima, Amit, and the outreach team for now, and just use these three. All these three belong to me, so this testing I can do with my own email addresses, and I can hit save. So this mailing list is called test, and all these email addresses are saved here. So under settings, uh, if you have a Gmail account or a Hotmail account or um, whatever account POP address you have, you can use that, specify here. So it basically takes your username, password, and I have mine saved here. So I have a Gmail account that's saved here, as you can see. So this is what you have to type: smtp.gmail.com, authentication, blah blah blah. You have to give your uh, email address and your password, and you can use burst mode, you can use single modes. So there are many options, and I'll explain those in a little bit. So typically there are two ways you can send out emails in a mass way, and the recommended way, of course, depends on what you want to do. Like, do you want to do fast delivery uh, to a large mailing list, maybe 1,000 people in about half an hour? Then you should do the burst mode, which is basically it it groups all of these email addresses, about 50 or 100 uh, addresses in one group, and then it makes 10 groups and sends them all in a BCC fashion. BCC is blind copy. But if you click here as singly, then it processes each email one by one, and it processes their tags that we give. And the tags are like, you can have say people's name like Dear Shiva or Dear Anupam, and then the newsletter begins. So you can do that as well. And then the way to do it is in your message. All you have to do is you have to add another tag called dear f name, and I'll explain it. So see, under your recipients you have this f name, so that's your tag. And if you put that somewhere here in the body, so um, it'll start showing up in the newsletter as well. So uh, let's focus on the settings for the emails right now, and then we'll talk about that later. So in the signature, what I typically do is I have these three URLs. One is a URL where you can see this form. The first form is how to update your profile. So basically this is nothing but the same URL that if people want to join or they want to change their address, so they this this URL basically takes them to this form. And the second form is instant removal with the safe unsubscribe. So again, this is a Google Docs form. Basically all I'm asking people is, if you see this email and you don't want to get any more emails, just put your email address here and we'll take you off the list. And the third one is just a general Sahaj meditation link URL. So when people click on it, they go to the Sahaj meditation website. You can have your own local website, Sahaj Yoga Meditation, or whatever you want. So that's that. And so now that we have the recipients, and we have also the message, and we also have the preview looks okay, so we can go ahead and hit send and see how it goes. So just click on send and say you're about to send message to 3 recipients, but you haven't said the last sentence. So say don't worry, just send anyways, because we don't want to save at this moment. And it says looking for smtp gmail.com, and my IP address here has blocked these smtp, but it usually works fine. And it'll quickly go and send this, and then you can go check your inbox, and you should receive a newsletter which looks exactly like what you see here. And friends, that's how you send bulk newsletters to all these 1,000 people on your mailing list. And you can do this fairly quickly once you have this process set up. And for your reference, I've placed a template, the template that we are working on, this Feb 11 template, as well as this PowerPoint, both of them on this website. So you can go review this, and if you have any questions, please feel free to mail back to the Sai Yoga outreach team, and we'll be happy to answer those questions for you. And good luck with reaching out to the seekers and sending HTML newsletters. All the best. Good luck and Jai Shri Mataji.